Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Hajj, He described, O you people, fear your Lord Allah, because the shake and thunder of the time of the Day of Judgment is so horrible, is so great. You will see in this day, every mother has a baby, will throw him away, will leave him, and she will drop what she have in her womb. And you will see the people like drunk, but they're not drunk, but the greatness of the torture, the horrible of torture is so severe. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Hajj, He go on and on about describing the calamity and the trial of the Day of Judgment, and how is the standing in the front of Allah and the reckoning is so severe. It has been reported by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Day of Judgment equivalent to 50,000 years of our time. Imagine one day equivalent to 50,000 years, and the sun will be equivalent to a 1 mile. The mil by Arabic is not the mile in English. Scholars have a dispute. Either is a level of 1 fingertips and a half above our head, or it will be approximately about a mile. Now, the sun is approximately 93 million miles away from us. But in the Day of Judgment will be 1 mile. The physics, the scientific of physics, they say, if the sun just come closer to the earth by 1 inch, the heat will be severe. What about not 1 inch, not 2 inch, not 1 mile, 92.9 million miles closer to us? We have to start living with the warning of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is Hajj, my brother, because this is the advice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Quran. Surah Al-Hajj, read it please. Read it many times and ask Allah to give you benefit, inshaAllah. By this way, the main purpose of Hajj to remind us about the Day of Judgment. The main purpose of Hajj to remind us of the beginning of the Day of Judgment. When's the beginning of the Day of Judgment? When we die. And after that, it keeps going on and on, warning about what will happen and the type of people, and will end up very beautifully, like every another surah. Usually is in the beginning of a surah, Allah gives us an advice and a warning about what He wants to talk to us about. And in the end of the surah, He gives us a summary. He summarized the whole surah. Let's see the beauty of how Allah summarized the whole surah. Surah Al-Hajj. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He ended up by 1 verse, which we should make sajdat tilawa. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اركعوا واسجدوا واعبدوا ربكم وافعلوا الخير لعلكم تفلحون. When we read this verse, we make sajdat tilawa. Allahu Akbar. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, "O you believe." This time, "O you believe." He starts the surah with, "O you people, be careful." But now, "O you believe." Believe in Allah and bow to Allah and prostrate to Allah and worship Allah and do good deed. Maybe you have success. لَعَلَّكُمْ تُفْلِحُونَ. This is why when we go to Salah, We said, let's go to Salah. Let's go to Salah. Let's go to success. Let's go to success. Because the success in this life and the hereafter, only by the obedience of Allah and by the teaching of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue. وَجَاهِدُوا فِي اللَّهِ حَقَّ جِهَادِهِ. And struggle for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the right struggle, the truthful struggle. هُوَ اجْتَبَاكُمْ وَمَا جَعَلَ عَلَيْكُمْ فِي الدِّينِ مِنْ حَرَجٍ. He chose you. He chose you. We do not choose ourselves. He create and He choose. Like what He said in Surah Al-Qasas. وَرَبُّكَ يَخْلُقُ مَا يَشَاءُ وَيَخْتَارُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He create and He choose. He choose us. He love us. هو اجتباكم. He choose you. وَمَا جَعَلَ عَلَيْكُمْ فِي الدِّينِ مِنْ حَرَجٍ. And He did not burden you in anything in the way of your religion, the way of your life, deen. مِلَّةَ أَبِيكُمْ إِبْرَاهِيمُ. The way and the habit of Ibrahim alayhi salam. هو سماكم المسلمين من قبل. He called you a Muslim before. وفي هذا, and for that, ليكون الرسول شهيدا عليكم. To the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam will be witness to you or against you. وتكونوا شهداء على الناس, and you will bear witness to people against you or against you, to them or against them. فأقيموا الصلاة. Now a command and advice. The last command and advice in the Quran. فأقيموا الصلاة. Day your 5 pray. And أقيموا here meaning pray in the masjid. أقيموا الصلاة. وآتوا الزكاة. And pay your zakah, your charity. وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِاللَّهِ هُوَ مَوْلَاكُمْ. And be united in the robe of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَنِعْمَ الْمَوْلَى وَنِعْمَ النَّصِيرُ. He's the best Lord and the best supporter. This is in summary Surah Al-Hajj. By this way, once I start my intention of Hajj, I start of the journey of the Day of Judgment. This is why one of the first steps of Hajj is to take your clothes off and put your ihram. What is ihram? 2 pieces of cloth for men. Like what? Like the way you're going to be buried, like a coffin. Why? To put us in a state of humble, to put us in a state of remembering, to put us in a state of humility, to put us in a state of warning. This is the reality of Hajj. It's not a journey to Walt Disney. It's not a journey to Bahama or Hawaii. It's a very precious journey, my brother and sister in Islam. And I hope my wording will reach our heart by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and lead it with the right understanding before we start. Because you will see a lot of mischief by us. Because the misunderstanding and the minimum amount of fear of Allah and respect to Allah and love of Allah. By this way, the number 1 important point is what's the purpose of Hajj? To remember the Day of Judgment. Actually, the journey of Hajj, the main purpose of it, to remember your journey of the Day of Judgment. When you be resurrected and going to where you're going to stand in the front of Allah, and you're going to be questioned about every action you do. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell you, come back to me now. I'm giving you a chance to remember where you're going. And to purify you. And you start from scratch, clean, the way Allah, your mother has been giving you birth. Sometimes we ask, We're going to do many ritual. What is the wisdom behind it? Some wisdom we know, some wisdom we do not know. And this is one of the main wisdom in many worship in Islam. Like if you have a boss, and the boss won't give you his worker a test. Sometimes he commands him to do certain things. Maybe for you it doesn't make sense. Or maybe you do not understand the wisdom behind it. But actually the main wisdom behind it, the boss, he wants to check your obedience. Whoever really loyal to his boss, he will do exactly what the boss said. And he will be very loyal to his boss and do exactly what he said without any questioning. And maybe later on, the boss will come in and explain, I just was checking your loyalty.